Hello, dividend executives. Welcome back. It is Friday, one of my favorite days of the week. You already know we are trading options, reviewing our plays from this week. And my gosh, what a volatile week. You guys already know here. We just kept it nice, smooth, and consistent. We made some trades throughout the week. We let them sit. And then we got some really good news this morning from Powell. More on a dovish side of things. If you're looking at the rate cuts, the probabilities went from about 75% to over 90% that we get a rate cut in September. So that was good. Also got some news from Trump. Didn't really have anything to do with the stock market, but of course he did take credit for the stock market ripping and thinks that the stock market will continue to rip. So what do? We keep selling puts. We keep keeping on. We keep making some money, and we keep trying to grind up and to the right. So that being said, let's take a look at the week. We're up $166,000, up about 0.68 for the day. For the week, we are up, under 1%. For the month, up 4.16. 3 months, 13.88. Year to date, up 26% or 34,000. 1 year, up 64, almost 65% or 65,000. And then all time since we moved this account over to Robinhood, up $83,000 or 100%. Now, the only bummer about the percentage thing is as I add money to this, obviously it brings down my percentage. If we just continue to add, it'll bring down the percentage. So what do we have to do? Well, we have to keep making more money to stay ahead of that. So I want to talk about today how I'm going to take this $166,000 portfolio to over $200,000 in the next year. Just looking at the data, I want to take a look at some of that, some of the projections, where we could end up if we keep doing what we're doing. And potentially we could get this account to over, $235,000, $240,000 by next August. And so we'll go over that. But first and foremost, let's take a look at what happened the last week. Full transparency as always. We show every trade. We've showed every single trade on this portfolio since we opened it up. And it's all on YouTube documented, and you can watch it for the rest of the time. So let's take a look at the history. Let's take a look at where we're standing. And we'll bring it all the way back to August 12th, which is when we made a $1,000 contribution. Of course, today I made another $1,000. I told you guys I'm going to start taking some of my options profits from the taxable brokerage and throwing it into this. I'm going to max this sucker out because it is time. I wasn't doing it the whole year because I had a goal to get to $160,000. Once we hit the $160,000 goal, now it's time to start pumping the account up to the next level as we have raised it to $175,000 for the rest of the year. And so it's time to max this baby out. 1,000 on the 12th. Then we started selling some puts, right? Some MSTX puts for 120, closed some TSLL puts, sold some more MSTX for another 120, closed some hood puts, sold some more MSTX puts for 300. And then last week you saw a bunch of expirations, and then we started hitting it heavy this week, right? So $160 for the ETH puts, $142 for the hood puts, and then we ended up closing those out on the 18th for 32 MSTX. Some more rounds. This is one of my favorite ones to sell Safe Delta puts on. Just pays a lot of money, and you guys will see that in the spreadsheet. So 200 there. Some more hood puts that we're holding into today for 114. Some long dated MSTX puts at the $9 strike. That's all the way for $9.19. We sold those for $75. Some TSLL puts yesterday for $42. I think we did 5 of those. 3 here, and then we sold another 2 here for the 28. And then we bought to close those EOSE puts, booking 55 on that. And then of course, like we talked about, another $1,000 thrown into the account. And so where does that bring us to? Well, it brings us to buying power of 1,885. Not sure why the graphic isn't working here. There we go. Yeah, so we got $60 for free from Robinhood. We have 5,000 left until we max it out. We'll probably max it out here in the next month or two. And just trying to deposit money as I see fit. And right now, when we're doing good in the taxable, then we just take some of the profits off the top and throw it into the long term. So $2,000 of contributions there. And we'll keep adding to the buying power there. And then this is what I call a money printer. Hood up 110, ETH up 158, MSTX 16 puts, 20 of those up 280. The MSTX puts at the 10 up 230. Those are all going to expire worthless today, and we're going to get about $94,000 worth of capital back once those all expire worthless, or we can end up doing some rolls, which actually, speaking of which, let's actually do that because I still want Hood. I'm trying to get Hood. I've been trying to get Hood, and so we're just going to roll this position out. I know the stock's out for the day, and it breaks my rule of selling cash secure puts on a green day, but it is what it is. I want myself some shares, and I'm ready to get them. I keep trying to get them at, the 100 to the 102 range. I think it's advantageous there. So I'm going to take $184 to try to buy it. Let me just see if I can get a fill at the 92 here. And that would pay us another $184 to try and buy some shares for cheaper. So we booked the profit there, and we throw a little bit more on it. So now we're into Hood for next week at the 102 again. If we dip further next week, as we've seen the last 2 weeks, we've seen a lot of midweek dips. So keep cash available for that. I know I'm keeping a bunch of cash available for that, and that's the reason why I'm not selling a whole lot of puts today. Of course, everything's in the green, but I want to be prepared for next week, right? So I'm going to position myself a little bit, as we've already seen here, the plays that we already have set up for 829 at the Hood 102, the TSLL at the 29, the MSTX, we got some layered in there, and then of course the long dated TSLL puts that are also printing money as well. But I want to keep some money available for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday if we get some dips, and then we'll make some short plays into Friday, potentially into next month. But the nice part about this month is we have 5 Fridays, and so obviously we have some money that we can make today. But most of these I'm just going to let expire worthless, and then next Friday we have another opportunity to throw some more money on the August totals. But right now the numbers are looking good. I really think we're going to be able to break 3,000 for the month, which we have been consistently able to do all year long. So we're going to do that. So these are all the plays we have on the table as of right now. Insane amount of green. We had a rough midweek, but you just don't panic and just let things ride. You guys know if you've been following me on X, in the big account, we had Meta that ripped up today, so we got out of that for a nice profit. We had some coin puts. We ended up able to roll those down and out, which was nice to see. And then we had some PLTR puts. They were under fire midweek, and those are good to go. PLTR is trading at 159, and I had the 150 puts. The 150 puts. So we're good to go there. So nice to see stocks absolutely rally back, and especially on this news. So we have a little bit of earnings next week, but for the most part, we're just going to continue rocking and rolling, and we're going to keep drawing up and to the right. New all-time high for the portfolio. Again, today sitting us at $166,000, which is absolutely crazy to see. But let's jump into it. Let's talk about how I'm going to bring this account to $220,000, $230,000, $240,000 in the next year. Of course, if you need it, full transparency, here's all the trades. And you're not going to see the trade, obviously, we just made with Hood. I have to go and enter that. So we'll have to come in here, and we'll have to buy to close this one for what we just did. We'll book the profit, and then we'll move on to the next one. But I do want to talk about the numbers, where we're looking at and how I'm seeing these projections, right? So far for August, we're at 2,583. We just made another 184, so we're probably sitting closer to that $2,700 mark. Total gains from Willin and Dylan, we're at 1,462, so we can't forget about that. And then balance, we started at 156. We're now sitting at 166, so a nice $10,000 gain there in the last month, and we're averaging about 2.8%. Return selling cash secure puts and covered calls. One thing to notice, the return is actually much greater than that, but it's hard to track how much of it is cash because it changes all the time. Obviously, I own some QQQ, some Tesla, some Hood, and those obviously take up capital. So we're not trading or making any money off of that capital. So one thing to keep in mind, this is only with about 130,000 or so of the portfolio. So the return's actually even better than we're seeing here on paper. But I do want to keep that in mind. Average return so far, trading options this year is 3.64 a month. Balance 130,000, trade gains about 413 on average. And then we're averaging about 3,800 a month selling cash secure puts and covered calls. So we're 34 weeks into the year, which means we have 18 weeks left. We're averaging $904 a week when it comes to weekly options. When you're looking at retirement, or you're looking at how much money you need to retire when it comes to trading options, these are the things to keep in mind, right? Because this is real data. If I'm only making $900 a week off of on average $130,000 balance, then you look at, all right, well, let's say I need $5,000 to live, right? Well, then you're going to need 5 times as much money on average to get that done. Now, obviously, you could trade more aggressive, you could trade less aggressive, you could have more in long-term plays, less in long-term plays, but this at least gives you a good, sense of where you need to be. For me, I think you need 7 figures to be able to retire. It all depends on where you live, how much your housing costs are, how much your debt is, everything like that. But one thing to keep in mind there, right? So my average return is about 0.69 a week. The goal for this month is 2,955. We have 372 left to go there. We obviously just made 184 on the hood put, so it's going to be even less there. To hit the 3% base case goal, we need 2,200 left there. Long shot, don't think we're going to get there. But we're still going up and to the right. Where the money's come from, on the first, 345, 4 through the 8, 773, 11 through the 15th, 736. You're seeing something, and it's called consistency. 8 through the 22nd, 729, which will end up being, depending on how the options roll and how things level out, probably end up being around that $900 figure, unless I make any other trades left in the rest of today, but I highly doubt it. And then unless we have some massive sell-off. And so that's where we're sitting, 2,500. So we have a new goal. You guys saw it. Actually, hold on. First, before we get into that, I just want to show where the money's come from. I get this question a lot. This is where my money's come from the entire year. Lots of MSTX puts. I love MSTX, especially at the Safe Delta puts. It's been a really good returner for me. So almost $10,000 worth of profit there. TSLL, one of my favorites. Connell at 5,500, Hood at 2,500, MVDL at 1,700, Soxel at 1,600, and then the rest are just small little adds to it. So over $30,000 worth of profit booked already. Balance to hit the goal. We need $9,000 left to hit our $175,000 goal. And if you've been carrying along the journal, you know we just raised it. If you're new, we just raised it from $160,000 balance to a $175,000 balance. So it's going to take us probably 10 weeks, 11 weeks to get there. And I think it's possible to hit our entire options goal for all of 2025. It's going to take us about 4 or 5 weeks in order to get there. But the nice thing is as the balance grows, as I add more cash, it gives us more cash available, which means we can make more on our money when it comes to percentages, right? So I think I'm going to hit the 2% base case. Even if everything went wrong, we're definitely making $200 next week. I can guarantee that. And then, we're 95% of the way to our new goal of 175,000. We're 87% of the way to our $2,900 goal. We're 89% of the way to our $34,000 options income goal. We should get that in the next 4 or 5 weeks. So hopefully by the end of September. And then this is the data on Q1. Q1, 12,000. Q2, 10,000. Q3, so far, 8,300, which gives us an average of 10,250. If we can continue that average into Q4, we're looking at about $41,000 worth of options income for 2025, which means we have another 16,000 or so that we can make. And we're going to show it all here every single week. We're going to grind in, we're going to grind out, we're going to sell puts on opportunities, and we're just going to keep it popping. Now I want to come down here and I want to take a look at this, because this is obviously this is the meat of the video. We love to make money. We love showing it every single week. We love spending 15 minutes a week to make $700, $800, $900. But what does this mean if I do this into next year? Well, that's what I want to talk about. So what I did is I took the balance we're at today, $166,000. I took that times the 2%, which would put me around $3,300 a month. I did $100 a week of added capital. And that's just, obviously you have to stay under the Roth contribution limits. And so you could do even more than that, but I'm just saying base case $100 a week puts us at $400 a month. And this is how we'd go from September all the way to August, right? So if we go from September to August, we're talking from 166,000 all the way to 211,000. That's a $45,000 gain. And we could do that through selling options by just slowly but surely whittling away at 3,000, 3,300, 34, 35, 36. And as capital grows, we continue to sell more contracts. We continue to make a little bit more on our money. And that's how you can take this $166,000 portfolio and grow it to 211. Now, on the flip side, I want to talk about averages, right? Right now, we're averaging 3.3% this year. So if we just took this and we did 2.5%, look at the difference. From 166,000 now to 222,000, which is a significant difference. We're talking big money, almost $250,000 over the next year that we can grow this portfolio to. And that's including obviously some putting some new capital into it, but very little capital, right? We're still talking about most of this just coming through trading. Now, if we went up and we got a little more bullish at, let's say, the 3%, which is very hard to do. It's very hard to get 3% a month. Obviously, we've been doing it. I don't know how much longer we're just going to trade like Rockstar, but I'm just going to take it as it comes. If we did 3%, we could take 166,000 and turn it into 234,000 over the next year, which would be almost $70,000 worth of gains that we pay no taxes on, that we didn't take out of our pocket, and that is going to compound and compound and compound and compound. Now, obviously, you take this number and you do it into 5 years, we're talking some crazy money. So obviously, we got to keep it light, but I just want to talk about, I mean, this is the power of options. You guys have seen me do it in the big account. You see me do it in the small account. You see me do it on X with the taxable account. Like, you can do it. It doesn't take a rocket scientist. It doesn't take a lot of time each and every single week. And, it just takes some good people are in your corner and some good trades and some good setups and minimal knowledge looking at cash secure puts and covered calls. So that's where we're at. That's how I plan on taking this account to over $200,000 next year, slowly but surely, by trading my cash secure puts, trading my covered calls, adding some money, maxing it out like I do each and every single year, and slowly but surely building this account up and to the right. So that's what I got for this week. Hope everybody just made a truckload of money. What a phenomenal week in the market. Absolutely crazy to see this account just consistently hit new all-time highs each and every single week, regardless of what's going on out in the world. And feeling really blessed. So thank you, everybody, as always, for watching my content. I hope you learned something from my videos. I hope it sparked some interest, some ideas, some enthusiasm, some excitement to get investing, and I hope I'm helpful. So appreciate you. Happy investing, and we'll catch you next time.